have our border showing up the way that we want it to. I did a little research into what's going on there. If we go into short-term assets, and the problem is I needed to go props.theme.border.primary. So if I just show you over here in the UI, not the UI, the style. So if we go themes, we're referencing this, which is the theme. So we go props.theme, which is this object called light theme. So then later, if we wanted to, we could switch out the themes really easily, which is one of my favorite things about it. But then we clicked border, but I didn't specify border primary. So I just had to do border.border primary, and then we got this border is then what's being put in there to give that the border. Now we'll just look at that. There we are. But we see our size isn't very good. Then I also thought to myself that later on, when I'm working in here, this is going to be, when it's over here, it's going to be in a grid setup. So this will be a CSS grid that's rendering it. So I thought it would probably be good to render this as a grid as well. So I'll go into the wizard itself. We've got the base styles. I'm going to go display grid template area, and I'm just going to try AAA and then B, and then I'll go grid template rows. It took me a long time to memorize these. I've just looked it up so many times that finally I understand it all. So I'm just setting the min maximum for the top row, which is the header. I'll make it 10 rem and then 12 rem. And then for the main body, I'll do a min max of 30 rem, 40 rem. Let's see what that looks like. So my header is then going to be grid area A, and the short-term assets will be grid area B. I really hope that this worked on the first shot here. So let's just have a look. Oh, looks like it's working. Yes, nice, perfect. Okay, so it looks like it's a little high. I might increase the size of this one. And then this is a little too big if we look over at our example here. And then the font sizes are a bit too small. I don't like how small they are, but I'll deal with that later, I think. So we've got this grid template area is B. Then I need to center it. And why is it not centered? If I go into wizard, grid template areas, so B. Oh, I'll make it 100%. But I'll do that. So in here, I'm going to go width will be 100%. Let's see what that does. Cool. But that's a bit big. I think I'll give it the margin on its left and right. Margin will be, top will be 0, right will be 4 rem, bottom will be 0, and left will be 4 rem. Let's check that out. Ooh, that didn't work. Top, right, bottom, left. What if we go width 80%? Let's see what that does. Yeah, but then it's not centered. Oh, so much time just spent on the styling. So it is being displayed in the wizard. Maybe I'll try text align center. See if that does anything. Nope. So with that, I don't know. I'll just go margin left 10% for now because I know it's 80%, so then that should give it a 10% on the other side. So let's see. Cool. I think that's on track with what we're wanting. This is a little skinnier though. So I'm going to go height, make it 35. Cool. That looks good. So the first thing that we'll have is on the left-hand side, we've got our selector, which is going to say which type of account that we're selecting. Now I've built something like that already, and it's in the UI. So if I go down into here, a lot of the things that are kind of selecting or changing, I put in forms, just to put that in that folder. So I've got one called choose one. So choose one wants a value, a set value function, and an array. So the array represents the items that it's going to be showing. So that way, each time I can be showing a different array of text that we'll be gathering. Then it's going to take that, the set value is going to take that text and it's going to pass it back up into where we get it in short-term asset, which is then going to set the state. So then we'll be setting what type of value it is up here in the initial state, but we don't have a position for that yet. So first thing first, let's bring in that choose one function or UI object. So choose one, go up into here, short-term assets, yes, and import. Choose one, and then throw it there, and maybe we'll give it some dummy data. It wanted an array, so I'll make the array just an empty array. Actually, maybe I'll just go 1, 2, 3. Then I'll say that set value is just a random function that does nothing. And I can't remember what else it wanted. So we'll go back to choose one. What were the array, set value, and then the value itself. So this is the current value that it's set at. And that's telling it to make the color so that it shows the color as if it's selected. So back up into here, I'll just do the, value is 1. And fingers crossed, hopefully that worked. Every time I go like this, I'm just making sure that I'm actually recording. I don't want to do all this and find out I'm not recording. Okay, perfect. So we've got our choose one, and we can select the different items. So what it's doing is it is gathering this. This is from the array, the 1, 2, and 3, so we can change those values out. And if we want to have a look at it, basically, if you're doing anything in the UI area, you don't have to worry too much about how it actually works. Actually, that's not what we want. You just have to worry about the props that it's receiving, and then you look at the function, the set value function. So in this case, set value. So we can see that set value is a function, and it needs to pass in value. So later on when we're connecting it, these are kind of the main things that we're looking at. Then it's got some state here selected and so on that is passing down into here, which is then setting the different colors using style components. So we won't worry too much about that. We've got it. It looks a little wide though. I don't like how much space it takes up. And I wonder, do we want to keep it that wide? I'll try trimming it down. Normally I don't want to be trimming UI components, but this is really the only place that I'm going to be using it. So I'm going to try doing it like this. Then I'm also going to build a local wrapper that will be in the main component, and that will be positioning it a little better so we've got some padding on either side. And then maybe even put the choose one over to the left. Okay, so then for the values that we're going to be sending to it, we're into short-term assets. So the array, I'm going to say checking account. Now these serve, in this case, you don't have to worry too much about this with the saving section, but this is more so as a reminder for people when they're filling out their assets. In the saving section, or not the savings, I always call it savings, spending section, that's the one you're working on. They'll need reminders of the things that they spend money on. So you might want to use something like this, but I'll let you decide if using this kind of setup would work for you. So we've got a checking account, we've got a savings account, and then I'll just call the other one GICs, which is Guaranteed Investment Certificates. So that's a financial term. I don't know if you care much about that. So there we go. That looks a little weird. I don't know why there's a space there. Oh, because it's It's got some, that's tricky. I don't want to have to change that. It's using Lodash to convert. So if I go here, savings account, and like this, the it's converting it so that it has capitals first, but it doesn't understand the whole GICs. So maybe I'll put guaranteed investment certificates. See, that's probably way too long. Or we could just get rid of it. Actually, that kind of looks nice. I like it. It fits. Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to do a wrapper for that. That's going to be sitting over on the left. I'm also going to be looking here. So I've got a left, a center, and a right. So I might have this be display flex, and then have these each be just a left, a center, and a right. So for now, I'm going to make it a left. So I'm going to go actually, I'm just going to copy all this formatting. Left width will be 10 rem. Let's try, actually, no, wait, it's got to be like 30 rem. And then padding will be 2 rem. And let's wrap the choose one with this left. And we'll see how that looks. Perfect-ish. I don't like the title very much, but I'm not going to worry about that too much right now. Okay, so we've got that. Then we're going to have a center. The center will be getting a property name as well as a value range bar. So we're going to be playing with the range bar there. So let's do that. So center. And this width will be 50 rem. And I will throw it here. And then I'm also just going to give it a color just so that I can see it. Make sure it's positioned. So I'll go background blue. That looks wrong, but it's not set to display flex yet. So the overall container, I'm going to be making this display flex. See what that does. Perfect-ish. Yeah, we'll have to either make it a little wider or this one a little skinnier so that the next range bar can fit over here. But for now, I'll just trim it down a little bit. But I know that the range bar is about 30 rems, so I want it to, oh, here, let's go 40. There we go. Okay, we can go 45. Nice. That looks pretty good. Okay, so I'll take that blue out. Now we're going to be pulling in an input. The input is down in form. And then in a bit, we'll be connecting all of these so that they're setting the state. But in the input, so we've got just a simple input. Disregard all of this stuff. It's because I had set it up to do validation for email addresses, but we don't really need that. So don't worry about that. So back to short-term assets. I'm just going to copy this down, replace it with input. Boom. Form input. Okay. And then we got to look and see, what does form input want? So down again. It's a little confusing that it's called form input there, but just input here. Sorry about that. So it wants a label, a type, a value, a name, a required or not, and a handle change. Ooh, okay. So I'm going to steal all of these just so I can remember them. So input. Like this. So its label is going to be, now, I think as we build the state, all the state is going to have one name that will be the same. So I'm going to just make it name will be, I'll make it blank for now. I don't know if I want to even use a name because I'm using IDs later, so we won't worry too much about that. Type. What was type? Oh, type is for text or not. So So I'll just go type here equals text value. What is the label? It is setting the label for this whole thing. So I'm going to call this one actually label. I'm going to ignore name, and hopefully that doesn't bother us later, but the label will be. So I see here that it's state. We've got a copy of this initial state, so I can go state.label. So in that case, now the label will be this. Then the handle change, so value. Oh, no, wait. So the label, sorry guys, we want to be typing in here, and we're giving the asset the label. So the asset will be called like my checking account or something like that. So the value that we're changing by typing this is the value, is the label. Oh man, okay. So let me just go think about this. Okay, so the label that we want to give it is asset name. This is what I think I'm doing. I think I'm doing this right. The value of the item is state.label, because that's what we're changing. So the value is going to be the state.label, but the actual label of the bar is going to be asset name. In this case, it says property name, but that's wrong. We want it to be asset name. So then we've got that. We've got required. No, we don't care if it's required. Handle change is then going to be the function that will set the state. So let's so handle change. I'm going to see, I like it. I don't like having too many functions up along the top, so I'm just going to see if I can make it set state. Now when I'm setting the state, I need to make a copy of the state as it is. So I go like this. Then I'm going to say label is going to be, now it's taking the event, so every time I type, I'm going to go E. And so the label that it's setting the state to on every change will be e.target.value. So that should be set. So what it's doing is it's the value of the item is the label of this overall object. Then the handle change is changing that label. So fingers crossed. Ooh, that looks bad. Oh, it's because of all of those that I'd copy pasted, but then I deleted them. So let's try that again. Wow, it's so slow. So sorry about the confusion there with the labels, because we're changing the label, but the item that changes the label also needs a label. All right, come on. Can't resolve, can't get UI forms form input because it's called input. So that's not good that I have a different name. I should change that, but I really don't like doing that, especially if I'm doing it now, because it can cause a whole bunch of issues across all of my files. So for now, so now it's saying UI forms. It doesn't like that. So we're going to go UI forms input. And input is exporting form input. So I go back into here. I'm importing form input from UI form input. I don't know why it's giving me that problem. UI forms. Okay. So now if I give it a name, give it a name. So what it's doing is it is typing the state. In the initial state, it's giving this label a name. So I could say checking account. And then boom, nice. Now I don't like that it's not capitalized. I'm going to set up some Lodash on that to do what's called start case. So I'll be changing. So it's not really fair to you guys that I'm now changing the UI elements because you don't have the most updated version. So I'm sorry about that. So the label, I'm just going to make sure that I have Lodash. Oops. I don't know if you guys have worked with Lodash much, but it's just a little helper JavaScript framework, which I don't use very much, but it's super helpful when I do. So let's try this. Nice. So now we just capitalized it. I like to not have too many capitalizes in my different objects and things because it can get a little messy. I should also change this choose one so that it matches. I'm going to do that right now. Sorry guys, I'm doing more changes that aren't really fair. So let's go. I'm just going to copy this label. I'm going to go over to the choose one. And where does it say choose one? Container. I'm going to put in label. Let's see what that does. Ooh, it's getting grumpy. What's going on? Where are you seeing that? Directly after a number. Choose one, select value. Oh, I don't know how that happened. Oh. Whoops. And now it's completely gone. Okay. Label should be showing top left. Maybe it's position absolute. We don't want it position absolute. We just want it there. We don't need a transition. We don't need pointer events. This is just because it moves around when there. Okay, that looks okay, but it's not great. I'm going to play around with that a little later, but we won't worry about that for now. So now we're on to range bar. This is the exciting part. All right. Up to here into the short-term assets. So we want a range bar. It's going to show right here. The range bar will be the cache value. And so the title of it will be cache value. So let's just say we're passing in, so the current value, or the cache value in this case, but we're going to call it current value because we're going to be using this type of state for all sorts of different assets and things. So that's just, we're going to stick with current value, but its label will be cache value in this case. And we'll probably set up some ternary operators to be changing the label according to what type of item we're looking at. But what we're going to do is we're going to go down into range bar. Okay, range bar. Actually, I'm just going to pause and then I will create a new video that talks about this just so that I can separate it out.